Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for coming to join us this evening. This is our first attempt at doing a district-wide kindergarten information night. If it's not that great, you can help us improve it in the future, but this is our first time ever trying it this way. And our philosophy was, you know what? A lot of times when you have 5 different information nights, some things can get lost in translation. And so we thought this would be an opportunity to bring everybody together, share a common message. My name is Ben Meinke. I'm the superintendent here, and this is a really, really exciting night for all of us. We know how important, okay, that first time that you're going to send your little babies to us and entrust us with your children, and we take that very, very seriously. I will tell you that having been in the district and working with some of the incredible people we're about to introduce you to, this is an incredible place to get an education and to raise a family. And so I think you will really, really appreciate being a part of the Novi family. I do want to introduce a couple important people that are here tonight. They're going to present a little bit. They play vital roles. You'll get to know them throughout the evening, but I'll start with our Assistant Superintendent of Talent Management and Development, Dr. Laura Carino. We also have our Assistant Superintendent of Teaching and Learning, Mike Geremini. Tonight we also have our Director of Instruction, Miss Emily Polanski, over there. Somebody that you'll get to know, and we'll get to know the kids. She does a lot of awesome things in the community. Detective Julie Warren, she's over here. Also somebody that works with all of the schools and all of the kids, our Supervisor of Medical Services, Kathy Ferris, she's back over here. And we have this beautiful diversity in our school district that we're super proud of, and we love the fact that we have such rich discussions in our community about that. And so we have a person who works with a lot of our students that are ELD, English Language Development, as well as state and federal programs, and that is Ms. Spencer Riley, who's over here. So we hope you enjoy the evening. A lot of information tonight. Don't get too overwhelmed, but we're going to get right into it. I'll turn it over to Dr. Carino.
Thank you. I have the privilege of introducing the people who are in the trenches doing the work every day. We have the 5 very best K-4 elementary principals, so I'm going to introduce each of them. Mrs. Danforth, the principal of Orchard Hills, is not here this evening. She had a family emergency, but we are excited to welcome you, and if you are going to be attending her building. Katie Dinkelman is the principal at Village Oaks Elementary. Ryan Francis is the principal at Deerfield Elementary. Alice Kazee is the principal at Novi Woods Elementary. And last but certainly not least, Jennifer Murphy is the principal at Parkview Elementary. And the important people who you really want to meet are our fabulous kindergarten teachers. So this is obviously not all of our kindergarten teachers, but just a small representative of a team that has been working to prepare for tonight and is already thinking about welcoming your students next year. So I'm happy to introduce Kathy Greisa, kindergarten teacher at Parkview, Stacy Scott from Deerfield, Melissa Israel from Orchard Hills, Dr. Danielle Kortemanch from Novi Woods, and Diana Malcheski and Shannon Myron from Village Oaks.
Thank you, Dr. Carino. Just a brief overview of our incredible district. As you may know, we have approximately 6,700 students in Novi Community School District and about 600 staff members. We're very fortunate to have some diverse and robust programs. We have our top-notch comprehensive buildings, our 5K4s, Novi Meadows, our 5-6 building, middle school and high school. We also have our early childhood center, our Novi virtual school, a career prep alternative high school and adult education. We have a Novi adult transition center for our students 18 to 26. We have a phenomenal adult English as a second language program that's held over at our Rohr Center, and an incredible community education program. But what's most important is the awesome staff that we have here, the family and the community feel that really make sure that every kid is taken care of and welcome in our district. Our district assigns boundaries based on where you live to determine which building is your K-4 building. This presentation will be shared later, and available on our website are links to the interactive map. You can actually click on the interactive map enter your home address, and it will tell you which school building is your K-4 building. It did sound like some of you already know because you were clapping for certain principals as I was listening. And then there is an attendance area map for Novi, because there are some school districts that are not Novi that are actually part of the city of Novi, and so that's important to be aware of. So you can confirm that your address is a Novi Community School District address, and then again find out which building is your K-4 building. Hand it over to Mrs. Dinkelman.
So once you know where your school is, some of you might want to know how to get to school. So our bus area is, if you are 1 mile or under, then your student is eligible to ride the bus to their home school. That is our walk zone. If it's under, if it's a mile or under, is a walk zone, so no bus. If you are more than a mile, your student can take the bus to school. You do need to register for your student to ride the bus. So it's very important that when you go into the parent portal, you will go under forms and then pick transportation, and that will sign your student up to ride the bus. So we don't assume just because you live in a bus area that you take a bus. We need you to register. And the bus assignments will come out that weekend before the first day of school on your parent portal, which will say your student's bus letter, bus stop locations, and approximate pickup and drop-off times. And in kindergarten, we work really hard. We help your student get their bus tag on their bag, and we make sure they get on the right spot. So we get them on and off. We got them. But so it is important, if you are in that bus zone, that you register.
Okay. If you are a family that is not a busser or not a walker or not a parent pickup and drop off, we have availability for you to drop off and pick up your child before and after school. It is called our CARE program. It is offered through Community Ed. So every single elementary building plus the 5-6 building has a CARE program located within their building. They open at 6:45 a.m. That's when you can drop off, and they are open as late as 6 o'clock p.m. So if you are an early worker or a late worker and you need that extra programming, that is available to you. I will tell you that at least at Novi Woods, the CARE program is phenomenal. The kids, if they have homework, they can finish their homework there. There's a lot of educational games that they play, a lot of creative play that they're doing as well. Registration for this opens August 1st through the 15th. We highly suggest that if you are going to take advantage of CARE, that you do so very quickly, because spots do fill up very, very fast. When you register for CARE, you not only have to register, but you also have to put in the days that you are going to need. They do this by month, so when you register in August, you're going to be putting in your September dates of need, and then sometime in September, they'll remind you, hey, it's time to put in your October, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So just because you register in August doesn't mean it reserves a spot for you. You have to actually put in some days that you are going to need. When this slide deck comes out, there's a QR code that will take you directly to the website that kind of gives you more information about that.
Here in the school district, we take safety and security very seriously. One of the things that we have is background checks, so anyone that's going to be volunteering with your children will go through extensive background check. We have cameras throughout the any school property we have cameras on, and inside the cameras we have a system called Zero Eyes. It's a gun detection system that are integrated inside of the cameras. Any visitors, like contractors, that let's say they're coming to work on the cameras or something like that, they'll have to go through our Raptor machine, and it will print out a visitor badge and also do a quick background check on them. We have our secured entrances, which are really great, so you will be buzzed into the first, and then you have to stay there till we figure out what you're there for. You go through the Raptor system, and then you are able to come through. All classroom doors are to be shut and locked at all times. One of our safety drills that we do is called ALICE, and it stands for Alert, Lockdown, Inform, Counter, and Evacuate. So it's one of our active assailant drills we do. We have, every time we do a drill, we will have parent communication afterwards. And what we teach and expect of a 4th grader is different than a kindergartner, an 8th grader, which is different than a 4th grader. So it's very age appropriate when we teach these ALICE drills. I am one of your school resource officers. I'm the one that will work with your children most often. My office is at the middle school, but I travel around to all the different schools. Detective Molick is here at the high school, and between the two of us, you have almost 40 years of law enforcement experience between us. We also have Dennis Heisman, who is our supervisor of safety and security.
I'm here to
to talk to you about our food service program, which is phenomenal. This says lunch and food service. Before I get into lunch, I also want to let you know that we do offer breakfast at our K4 schools every morning. We do it in a bagged manner, so the kids can pick it up and they take it to their classrooms every morning and eat it there in the classroom so that they're not missing any instruction. For lunch, this is one of the biggest things that you can do to help your child prepare. The lunch period during the day is a huge opportunity for learning for the kids. It's a huge opportunity for social interactions, obviously. And it's a huge opportunity for them to learn some independence. In our daily schedule, our days start at 9 a.m. and they end at 3:52 p.m. And we have a staggered lunch schedule for each grade level. And you'll find out your lunchtime in the fall when we start. But what's really important to know is that first bullet up there. Your children need to learn how to eat lunch within 20 minutes. And that's quick, especially at the beginning of the year for our kindergarten friends. They have the choice, I'm going to skip a little bit here, they can either get their lunches from our kitchens in the cafeteria, they have a great menu, or they can bring their lunch from home. Keep in mind that eating with friends in the cafeteria is different than eating at your home, whether that's at a dining room table or in the living room, that's with you helping or food being passed. Some of our buildings have round tables that seat about 8 kids. At Parkview in my building, we have long rectangular tables that fit about 16 kids. Kindergarten, we actually fit a little more in than that. In our lunchrooms, the supervisors, we do have supervisors that are there every day helping the kids. They usually seat the kids either by class or at those round tables in an assigned manner so they know where all of our friends are and we can account for them. But no sharing of food. Please teach your kids that they get their lunch. If you are taking advantage of lunch from school, please get into the routine of looking at that menu ahead of time and helping them to communicate what choice they would like that day. Different teachers around the district have different systems for how to do that. Sometimes the parents send in their choices, but no matter what, when they get up to that line in that window in the cafeteria, it's great if they can say, I would like pepperoni pizza today, or I would like the chicken today. So helping them to understand what they are choosing for their lunch. Those hot lunches, they do go through, they can pick white or chocolate milk. They get their main entree, and then they go through the salad bar, and they have their choice of fruits and vegetables that they can pick. Salads, apples, oranges, peaches. It's really wonderful, but again, that's that independence. They have to know what they would like to put on their plate. So something to practice at home. Again, communicating, what would I like? If your child will be bringing their lunch from home, a great thing to practice coming ahead is how to open containers. Sometimes I see in my lunchroom, kids have wonderful meals coming from home, but they might be in hot thermoses, and those tops are really hard to get off. And we will help them, yes, absolutely. We will help them to get straws into drink boxes if we need to. But those are really things that they need to practice because, again, that first bullet, they have 20 minutes to come in, either get their lunch from the kitchen, they get their lunchbox, get settled in, and eat. They do get recess first in Novi, so the supervisors pick them up and take them out to the playground. They get 20 minutes or about 20. Usually it's about 15 minutes because we save that 5 minutes transition time to get into the cafeteria and that 20 minutes to eat. This year and next year, we do offer free breakfast and lunches for all, so there is no money that you need to put into an account. However, you'll see that there's a link there. Please do, if your child will be taking advantage of the food that we serve in our kitchens, please do monitor their accounts. You can see what choices they're making of the entrees. You can Also make requests, such as, I only want my child to get white milk, not chocolate milk. In a minute here, our friend Kathy Ferris will be talking about medical situations. In that account, you can also establish some guidelines if there's allergies or things like that to make sure that nothing like that gets put on their plate. For those of you that might need some assistance, we do have an application for free and reduced lunch, and you might be saying, wait a minute, I thought you said it's free for everyone. It is. However, through that application, there are other services throughout the year and even in the summer that may give you some added benefits. So if you think you might qualify for assistance, even though lunch is free for everyone, please do fill out that application because that will help us to support your students even more.
Hi, I'm Kathy Ferris. I was just, I'm going to say about the medical. Mrs. Murphy touched on it a little bit. As you register, you're going to have an area on your registration that you can indicate if your child has a medical diagnosis. I do have some pre-made plans that we use all the time, allergy plans, seizure plans, stuff like that. You would indicate that on your registration form, and then we would have some conversations about that. I work in the entire district. I have another nurse that works with me. So we visit all 14 areas. There's 11 physical areas that we go to, but we are the district nurses, if you will. And there's a couple things that you have to do. You have to do the vision and hearing screenings that you have to have before kindergarten. And new this year, you'll have to have a dental screening either before you start kindergarten or within the first year of kindergarten. We will have some opportunities, we hope, in the summer. Sometimes we have mobile dentistry come through with our meals plans and stuff for school, so that, I hope to have a plan for that. And then immunizations. We also help the schools with each immunization recording. So you have to have your immunizations up to date in the state of Michigan to start school in a public setting, which we are a public school district. So if you had questions for that, we could help you, guide you of what to do. And if you needed waivers or help with dates or areas to get your immunizations, we can also help you with that.
I'm going to be talking a little bit about our English language development program here in the district. As we've mentioned, we have an extremely diverse district with more than 50 languages and over 70 different countries represented by our students and their families. When you enroll, or if you've enrolled already, you probably noticed that there are a few questions about language. They ask about your child's primary language and the first language that they learn to speak, as well as the language that's spoken in the household. When you share with us that a language other than English is spoken, that starts our process for the screening, which means that we just want to make sure that your child, if they need English language development assistance, that they receive it. So in kindergarten, it looks a little bit different than it does in the other grades. Kindergarteners take the WIDA screener for kindergarten. It's very child-friendly and age-appropriate. It is an English test, but it's mostly a picture book and some activities that an ESL teacher does one-on-one with the student. When students take this test at the beginning of the year, they only take the listening and the speaking portions because we know that before kindergarten they might not have learned to read and write yet, and that's okay. If students receive a 5 or higher in both parts of this assessment, they become what's called monitor, and we leave them in the classroom and just check in every once in a while and make sure that they're doing okay. At December or January, we give them the other 2 parts of the test, which are the reading and writing, and they may still qualify for ESL services at that time. Other students who score below that 5.0 mark, it just means that they join the ESL group at the beginning of the year. Service looks different for different students depending on their level. It could be a small pull-out group for some English classes. It could be one-on-one support, and it might even be some push-in support where the ESL teacher actually visits the classroom to assist the students there. You'll be getting a lot more information if this situation applies to you at the beginning of the year. If you have any questions about any of this, you can contact me. My information is here at the bottom of the screen. Additionally, for our international families, we do have 2 community liaisons. They're both here today. Susana Rincon de la Nel Tamez is here in the back. Susana is from Mexico and she speaks Spanish and English. She helps families from a lot of different countries, including Central and South America, Europe, Africa, India, and the Middle East. We also have Tomoko Takashima, who is here in the back. Tomoko mostly helps our Japanese families, but she also helps our new Chinese, Korean, and other East Asian families as well. If you are new to America and Novi is your first experience with an American school, these two ladies are a great resource for you. They can help you communicate with the school and give you more information about American school culture and events.
Now it's time for the kindergarten teachers to take over. So each of us are going to be reading off a little bit of each slide for you. Our first one is kindergarten expectations. Students are responsible for lots of different things in kindergarten. Every day my kids are bringing backpacks, coats, shoes, all their snow gear, lunch boxes, library books, daily take-home folder. It's so important that they have their names on everything listed. I know that you think your child probably knows that those blue boots belong to them, but I can't tell you how many times we lift up and we go, "Who's blue boots?" Crickets, 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 and I go, "It's your blue boots." So please make sure that your name is on all of those items. It's really important that students are getting dressed independently. Remember that there is only one kindergarten teacher with them. So though we would love to help every child put on their snow pants and their zip up their coats, it's really important that they know how to use zippers as well as tying their shoes. If your child does not know how to tie their shoes, I would recommend getting those shoes that have laces that are already tied for them or straps until they learn that. Independent toileting. So most of our classrooms do have bathrooms in it, the kindergarten classrooms, but it's very important that students know how to flush the toilet on their own, wash their hands, wipe their bottom, as that is something that they will be expected to do completely independently on their own. So please start practicing that if you haven't, especially washing your hands. I cannot tell you how many times students come out of the bathroom and you're like, "Wow, that was really fast. Let's go back in and try that again." And separating from our parent and guardian. I know my child is going to kindergarten next year, and I know that that's going to be really hard for me to say goodbye, but I promise you they are in good hands. If there is anything that goes wrong throughout that day, I know all of us would notify you. So it's really important that we say our goodbyes at the door and keep it short and sweet. The longer we extend it, the harder it becomes.
We're really excited that your children are coming next year. Wherever they end up, whichever school they're at, it's going to be a really positive experience for them. As Mrs. Murphy talked about, practicing with lunch at home is really important. They're used to having you there when they're having lunch, and you can help them and you can open things for them. They really need that practice at home. Even set up a pretend lunch in your kitchen over the summer. And pack a lunch for them and hand them the lunchbox and see how much they can really do independently. As parents, we automatically just take it and open it for them. I know I do it, I know we all do it, but when they're in the school, we don't have as many adult hands, and so we really need your help in practicing that. And then it also makes them a lot more independent and a lot more confident, so it becomes a really positive experience for them. Working and playing and interacting appropriately with a large group, that might be something that's a little bit different for your children. Visit a playground, see if they can take turns using the equipment. Maybe get a group together and throw the ball and see if they can take turns and not just run away with it. They will be with a large group most of the day when they're in kindergarten, so we want to make sure that they know how to cooperate and how to take turns and get along with each other. Delaying immediate needs, that's an interesting one because when you're at home with them, you're the adult and they're the child, and if they need something, you say, okay, and you help them out. Well, the teacher might have 25 children, and if everyone is saying, I need this, I need this, I need this, I need this, so we really need you to practice delaying. You can say, when the big hand is on the 5, I'll help you. And then they know that they have to wait that little bit of time, and then you'll help them. Anything like that that you can do to help the kindergarten teachers would be marvelous and make for a really positive experience for your child.
And aside from the social and emotional expectations, we of course have academic expectations. Students that are beginning to recognize their letters and their sounds is awesome. So when you're driving around town or you're going through Target, recognizing letters, pointing them out, kind of connect those sounds really will be helpful when they come. It's certainly stuff that we work on throughout the year, but they come in with it, it's even better. You might have a nickname for your sweetie pie. Super important, however, to have them practice their name, because the name that we're going to use to call them in class, we really want them to be able to respond to it. We want them to be able to recognize it when they see it and be able to write it. So something you can practice, obviously paper, you can have them keyboard it, you can have them write it on sidewalk chalk, whatever you can do to immerse them. They're going to get immersed in school, but whatever you can do will be amazing. I've been teaching for a long time, and one of the things I've noticed in the almost 3 decades that I've been teaching is fine motor skills. It just seems like over time it's gotten more challenging for children. I think it's just the way that we live our life. But they're still going to be expected to cut with scissors. They're still going to have to paste paper together and put projects together. So practicing those kind of fun crafts at home is also will be a huge benefit for them.
So the other thing that will happen when they come to school is they will primarily be with their classroom teacher, but they will be interacting with several adults throughout their day. They'll go to specials classrooms where they'll have a specials teacher. As we talked about at lunch, there will be adults helping them at lunchtime. When they come into the building, there's several adults that will greet them. So it's really important to encourage your child to be able to interact with all adults and understand that the adults in the school building are there to help them. They are safe people, so they don't always have to seek out their classroom teacher. You know, if they're walking in the building and something is wrong, helping them be comfortable and confident talking to those adults that are greeting them, communicating their needs. We get a lot of children that have to go down to the office for something, and once they get down to the office, they don't know what to say. So really just helping them with that communication piece, being able to say their name, maybe know your names, know their last name. Once we send them down to the office, if they're not feeling well, they're not with us. So being able to go down there and say what their name is, say what their last name, those things are really important and really help all the adults in the building support your child. We also have a variety of settings where your child will be learning in the classroom, and so helping them attend to the task in a lot of different settings. Sometimes they're going to be on the carpet learning in that whole group of 20 to 25 children. So encouraging them to have some good listening skills of, sitting, hands to themselves, looking at the speaker when the speaker is talking. Those are all really good listening skills to practice. Even at your home, instead of them looking down at whatever they're doing, encouraging them to make eye contact with you. Helping them when it's an independent task, and then maybe even in small group settings.
Okay, we're going to talk to you a little bit about what your child's day is going to look like in kindergarten. So your child will come to school 5 full days starting at 9 a.m. with dismissal at 3:52. And although it may seem like a long day, we do not have a daily nap or rest time. So rest assured they will be really exhausted the first few weeks of school, but they will build their stamina, and it doesn't take too long by the end of September. As we've talked about already, the kindergartners will eat lunch at school in the cafeteria. So they can either bring their lunch from home or order it from school. One of the biggest emails we get probably the first few weeks of school is, my child came home and didn't eat their lunch. Why didn't they eat their lunch? It really is important to practice those independent skills and encourage them that when it's lunchtime, they eat first and then they can chit-chat with their friends.
And I get to tell you about every kindergartner's 3 favorite parts of the day: snack, recess, and specials. Even though it hurts all of our feelings. So we do have a snack every day, just a small snack, a small healthy snack. I know we have kids who come in with choices in their backpack, so they'll open it up and have 15 different choices, but it's kind of easier if you just put one snack in a separate part from their lunch. They know what to grab because it is a quick time, probably 7 to 8 minutes we have snack. And then also a water bottle from home. We do have drinking fountains in our classrooms, but the kids like their own water bottles and they can fill them up also in the classroom as well. We have a 20-minute recess before lunch that we talked about, but then we also have recess time with our classes. So when we start in the fall, we'll have a few minutes in the morning and then also some in the afternoon. So we'll have 3, but don't tell anybody. And then we phase out of that as the year goes on. But they will have 2 recess times throughout the school year. And then at the end of our day, towards the afternoon, the students go to specials. So there's 5 specials. There's art, music, media, and gym. And they go to physical education gym 2 times a week for 50 minutes.
So we have programs for kindergarten in each of the 5 elementary schools, and so it doesn't matter where you live in the district, you will have a common experience. All of our classrooms for kindergarten are aligned to our state of Michigan kindergarten standards, so our teachers follow that curriculum and provide common instruction across the district. As we shared before, it is a full-day program where they focus on social emotional development. You are going to see such a transformation for your children from the start to the end of the year. They're going to make friends. They're going to develop into little people. They're going to learn to take turns and share. They also, as the teachers shared, they will be practicing cutting and gluing and coloring and holding a pencil the correct way. And so it's really great if you can start thinking of those things over the summer to give them a head start. The oral language, they are going to be talking and talking and talking some more. Hopefully when they come home, they're going to have lots to talk about their day, but know that oral language is a big part of the kindergarten experience, and so that they can start to construct meaning in their classrooms. They will learn a lot about fundamental literacy skills, so sounds, letters, concepts of print, of how to hold a book, reading left to right. And so you are really going to see them transform and learn all of those skills. And finally, they will learn about mathematical number sense, how to manipulate numbers, how to count one-to-one correspondence, and lots of other concepts in math. Finally, they're going to work on music, art, PE, and library media. As they shared, that is often a very favorite part of their day. They will participate in lunch and recess daily. Anytime there's an all-school assembly, kindergarten is also part of that experience. And so they bring in presentations and speakers where they will also learn lots of things throughout the year. And finally, we have lots of great support staff throughout the year. It's not just only their kindergarten classroom teacher that will be providing them help if they need something. We have full-time literacy and math interventionists for students who are struggling. We have special education staff in each building, so if your child has special needs and needs additional support, we have other people in the building who can provide that instruction. We have full-time student success coaches in each of our K-4 buildings, who is another individual that can provide support if your student is struggling in any of the areas socially or emotionally.
Here at Novi Community School District, we are really blessed to have a flexible K-12 virtual option. And this has been so helpful for our families that travel internationally for extended periods of time. It's also been really effective for our students who have medical needs, or for our students who are elite level athletes. We have a number of little gymnasts. So if your family or your child needs that kind of flexibility, we encourage you to reach out to our Novi virtual office so they can talk about the options. For example, if you know that your child is supposed to start kindergarten in the fall in September and that your family is going to be out of the country for a little while, instead of starting them late, we'd rather hear from you and get them set up with virtual learning so they don't miss important learning. They can do it virtually until they return for a second semester. Again, if you have any questions about Novi Virtual, please reach out to our Novi Virtual office. You can see we have some wonderful programming. This is Mrs. Loney, our kindergarten teacher. She's also in our audience on the screen. And we have live Novi teachers and our Novi curriculum to help our students.
we're very excited this year to start a new program that a lot of our children will have the opportunity to be a part of. This was a venture that came from our teachers. Our teachers across all of the elementary schools talked a lot about students that were starting kindergarten at a time when maybe they weren't ready. And we see a lot of things that happen in those types of scenarios. And so one of the interesting things is that on this stage represented, I know several of the teachers that are up here. I can speak for my own children, and I wish my babies were kindergarten, but they're not anymore. They're a lot older now, but several of the people over here as well. All of our children had the gift of time, and we actually had them in a program that took a little bit more intentional approach, and that's something that we're launching this year. The program's called Wildcat Launch, and that is a 2-year kindergarten experience. It places a much greater emphasis on exploration, particularly on how to introduce some of these concepts. But more importantly than the academic exploration is really the social emotional skill building that's done. The class sizes will be a little bit smaller, and this experience is not going to necessarily be for every student, but it is an opportunity for many students, and we'll have a second to talk about that in just a moment. Kindergarten is a 1-year experience, right? It places a much greater emphasis on academic goals. For those of you that are parents that most of you went through kindergarten, I will tell you that kindergarten is a much faster pace than when we went to school. The standards for kindergarten are higher, the stakes are a little higher, and so the program moves quite a bit quicker than what we were used to. I think when a lot of us went to school, kindergarten was primarily a play-based curriculum, and it was kind of this fun experience. And while I will say it is exceptionally fun to come to kindergarten here, it moves at a much higher clip. So one of the things that we're doing this year is we're launching this program. And so let me explain a little bit about how this would work. It's largely predicated on when your child's birthday is. So I'm going to start by, if your child's birthday is on or before September 1st, okay, so that's going to be a number of you. Starting out this next year, the standard path is that your child's going to go to kindergarten, okay? Now, if your child's birthday is between September 2nd and December 1st, you would need to fill out what's called a waiver with the state of Michigan. It means that they're younger, but the state allows them to come to school with us. They're going to be enrolled in the Wildcat Launch program. And this is an opportunity for students that are in that age range. However, like many people as I described up here, your child might actually be on the other side, born before September 1st, and if there's space available, we will actually have a lottery to be able to run your child into the Wildcat Launch program. That is what I did for my son, and I think it's an awesome opportunity depending on the child. Now, what I will say is that every single building, so all 5 elementary schools, we will be running this program. So again, I believe that there will be some space, and we will take that on a lottery basis based on when their birthdays are. So moving beyond, obviously, once you attend kindergarten, the following year you would go to 1st grade. We also have a situation where if you're in Wildcat Launch, you would be going into kindergarten that following year. We do have certain situations, and I will just tell you that every child is different and unique, right? While this is the path for our kids, in the event that we had a student that was, say, after we had worked with them and the teachers working with them for a couple months at the beginning of the year, and we're saying, wow, this child is socially, emotionally ready, their friendships are solid, they're able to communicate with adults, they're cutting, those fine motor skills and gross motor skills are in play. We would have an early student assessment, and that would be primarily a conversation between the teacher, the parent, and the principal on whether or not we would actually want to, before that year is over, move them to kindergarten and say, this child is ready. And so that will happen for some students. I want to put a disclaimer out there to say that's not a lot of kids that we think are going to probably fall into that category. But this kind of outlines the path and the options that are available with Wildcat Launch. Something else that we're doing that is going to be for all students in kindergarten this year, and we're very excited about this, and I'm going to try and preface it by saying our normal experience in kindergarten has largely been you register, you come to kindergarten, and we don't know your child, and so the classes are just kind of what they are. And if you can imagine putting all of the students into a proverbial blender and having them show up in class, you don't really have the best mix all the time of students that are in those classes. So what we're doing this year is we're doing a concept called Intro Week. In Intro Week, students are going to be grouped prior to the start of school, and the teachers are actually in the building going to rotate around to the different groups of students. The teachers are going to meet with all of the students, and by the way, it's not just the classroom teachers. We also, as mentioned before, we have academic interventionists and coaches. We also have student success coaches and ELD interventionists and ELD teachers. We have a lot of people that are going to be working in that first week with our kindergarten children to try and assess where they fit socially, emotionally, academically. And all of those things are going to be in the service of trying to create a really, really good mix of students in the class, okay? So what that means is that the calendar for the first week of school, we would start August 26th this year. That'll be a full day of school. They will come to school on August 26th, they'll come to school on August 27th, and they'll come to school on August 28th. On August 29th for Wildcat Launch, in kindergarten, or for the Wildcat Launch program, and kindergarten, they would actually have a little bit of an extended weekend that first week. And the purpose of that is that the classes, the teachers are actually meeting with all of the data that they've collected that first week, and they're creating really, really solid class lists. They're getting their classrooms ready. So when they come back on the next week, September 3rd, they're coming back to school. They will be with their permanent teacher. They will have all those things in place, and they will be in a classroom that is much more balanced across the grade level for all of the students to have as most success as possible.
So now you're thinking, we're thinking, are we ready to register? I got my phone, got my stuff. You got some homework to do first. As a parent of 4 boys myself, there's almost like a pre-work you got to do to register your kid. And so there's a long list of options that you have to hunt and find things of. Records of taxes, you got to find a gas bill. You have to have all of that stuff lined up, because I know as a parent myself, I've logged in to register and I realized I got some homework to do. I got to find one of the following things, including their birth certificate, and 2 of the following, like a gas bill and electric bill. You got to find their immunization records. Those are all going to be part of the enrollment process. So making sure that you have those ready to go when you sit down at your computer to get them registered for school. Same with their hearing and vision. That might even mean some homework to reach out to your pediatrician to get some of that information, because I know you want to register right away, but you might need some of that information shared from your pediatrician's office. And then, of course, registration opens now. You can register. We have help. If you ever have any questions for registration, you can reach out to enrollment at novik12.org. They are great at helping with some of that enrollment question stuff. And then in order to make sure that we get all of our kids registered in time, we are putting a May 1st deadline to just ensure that we have the right space for your student at our school. So we have to do some staffing things. We have to make sure we have our numbers figured out. So our real push for the community is that by May 1st, we've got most of our kindergarten registered, and that way we can ensure that you actually have space in your home building and can attend kindergarten right at your home school.
So we want to make sure that we have time for all of you to ask questions, and I believe Director Polanski and Mr. Francis are going to walk around with microphones here in just a second. But I'd like to just kind of close with a couple things to help you just put a bow on a couple things. First of all, the people that are up here, the teachers that are here, the administrators that are here, the people that are going to care and love on your children, they are very dedicated. I've been in all of our elementary kindergarten classrooms, and the teachers, they love the kids. They're very, very good with them. And if you talk, I believe, to parents that maybe would be your neighbors and things like that, I think you'll find that we have the best teachers anywhere. They really, really are amazing, and so I think it's going to be a great experience for you. I also can understand that as we've gone through nearly an hour of information, there's a lot to digest, particularly if you're a new parent, right? And so this is not the only time that you're going to get this information. Obviously, you're going to be getting this slide deck, so you're going to have all of that information so that you have it digitally. Also, all of our elementary schools will have in-building welcome days in the spring. So that's going to be announced shortly, and those individual buildings will be sending out information so that you have an opportunity to see the school that your child's going to be going to, tour the building, see what it's like. You're going to have that opportunity to do that in the home school that you're going to be going to, your child's going to be attending. There will also be opportunities to ask lots more questions, okay? So again, this isn't the only opportunity you're going to have. But I do want to highlight something that's up there, and we're going to leave this screen up through the Q&A session. We have to know, right, how to build and prepare our staff for next year. And it's really imperative that we get you to register as soon as possible, because that's the best way we can guarantee that you're going to go to your home building. So can't stress that enough. That's a May 1st deadline. So please try to get your paperwork together, start the process. There's a lot of people here that can help answer questions. And our people in central enrollment, who actually also happen to be here, are very, very helpful, and they're very knowledgeable, and they will help you kind of get to the finish line here. So this portion right now is going to be kind of an open Q&A for anyone that would like to ask questions. We'll do that for about 10 minutes. Then we'll dismiss everybody, and if there's still questions, we'll stick around after. We have a number of teachers here who are going to be able to take a lot of the specific questions on the day-to-day, but we're here for you, so there'll be microphones that can run around. If you want to get a question back there, we can kind of run too, and then one up here. So, sure.
Hi, I had a question. My son born in October. So from my understanding, he will go to the Wildcat kindergarten. So I would like to ask how about the location for this kid?
Great question. Yes. So if he will be 5 in October, then he would be in Wildcat Launch, and it would be in your home elementary school. So the purpose of us having them in all of the 5 elementary schools is so that the children stay with that school all the way through, and they develop those friendships and relationships in the school. So when you look at the map that shows what elementary school you'll go to, that's where they will attend Wildcat Launch as well. Okay? Yes?
Hi. Is there only one teacher in the classroom? And then did you say it was a 20 to 25 to 1, if that's how many teachers in ratio to parent or to students,
Yeah.
teachers?
Great question. So our class sizes in the early grades, particularly in kindergarten, are smaller than, say, an upper elementary school. I believe it's going to be different across the district, okay? So I'll throw out numbers like 19, 20 in several of the buildings, and some it's more like 22, 23, okay? There does come a point, though, where we start to ask, you know, if that size gets too big, would we add a section, right, so that we can draw those class sizes down? One of the things we take a lot of pride in compared to other school districts is that our class sizes are very small. The Wildcat Launch program, those classes will be a little bit smaller just because of the nature and age of the children. But yeah, they're very small comparatively to other districts, but and those are also going to be smaller. And yes, they have one teacher per classroom. That can change. Like we have, for example, a lot of teachers, as was mentioned before, that push into classrooms, right? So you might have an interventionist, or you might have somebody that's doing some special education services or things like that. So we do have that, and we also have paraprofessionals that are going to be working in and throughout the classrooms. So. Yes, Mrs. Greisa just said this. We love parent volunteers. So one of the slides up here talked about getting a background check and those types of things, which you have to have if you're going to work in the buildings. We really, really welcome you to come into our school, be a part of the school community, see what's going on. We do have a lot of parent volunteers in our elementary level, and we would encourage you to get involved that way as well. And it wasn't mentioned tonight, but I'll just piggyback on that in saying that all of our elementaries have very strong PTO groups. And it's a great way for you to get involved early in a lot of the things. The schools have lots of events and things that you can plan and be a part of with that. So we're going to go here, and then I think we got to get back to this other corner, and we'll come back. Yes? Do you want to see if you can get her the...
So the idea about rotating the first week, wanted to understand a little bit more about if there was studies done to show this works. I understand like the need behind it, but kindergarten has a lot of changes. It's very stressful for a lot of kids, and now it seems like we're throwing a total wrench into their first week by not having that consistency of a teacher.
Yeah, there are, in terms of studies, there's not a lot of empirical data, you know, in terms of this program being run that way. There are a lot of districts that do try this model. Our teachers got together and kind of worked through what the planning looks like to make sure that the transitions for the kids in that week are going to be as minimal as possible. So that's why when I talked about that, the teachers are actually the ones that are going to move around versus the kids. And so that was intentional because of the very thing that you just described. But we think that we're setting the students up for a year of success versus trying to make something work based on random chance and happening. And so places that have done it have reported very positive results. The biggest hurdle, of course, is what you just described, which is getting used to this concept of, you know, we're going to be getting the kids used to this and having multiple teachers get to know them over the course of that first week. Yes. Okay. Okay. Yes, it's all the same. So Wildcat launches a kindergarten program. It's just a 2-year experience, but all of those same things apply, right? So they would need to, there's not going to have a nap time, there's going to be lunch, there's going to be recess, all of the things that the teachers described. Do you want to add anything? Okay.
So they'll still follow the kindergarten daily schedule. They'll be on the same schedule as the kindergartners. They'll go to specials. They'll go to recess with the other kindergarten classrooms. They'll have lunch with the other kindergarten classrooms. You know, it's just more specifically designed for those children whose birthdays fall in that September to December age range. But they will follow the same schedule, same opportunities. They can ride the school bus. You know, that's a really big benefit. So.
Just piggybacking on the Wildcat launch program. So I know in the early childhood education, you have the Young Fives program, and I think we know our child a little bit as well, right? So that's why we thought there was an option to go to kindergarten versus pick the Young Fives. But now that it's a 2-year program, I mean, is there an advantage to just go right to kindergarten versus the Young Fives, which would have, again, done essentially the 2-year program, right, for them?
So I actually have personal experience with this, so I'm just going to speak about my personal experience. I have 2 children that went to junior kindergarten. My children go to South Lyon schools. And I'm just really going to be very blunt. Both of my children are very smart. They score in the 97th, 98th, 99th percentile on standardized tests. They had great skills going into kindergarten. But I knew that there was more than just their kindergarten experience. You know, they're going to get older and they're going to play sports or they're going to do activities. And if I had sent them to kindergarten when they were going to be the youngest in the class, they would be at a disadvantage as they got older, right? So they're playing sports with kids that are 9, 10, 15 months older than them. And it doesn't seem like much now when you're an adult, but when you're 5 and you're starting kindergarten when you're 4 years old and there's children in the classroom that are already 6, it is a really big difference. And I actually just spoke to Mr. Francis about this today because he also has children that fall in that same age range. And I thought a lot about my daughter going to high school. So she'd be 13, 14, going to high school with 18-year-olds. So it's not just their kindergarten experience that I really had to think about for my own children. I had to think about all the way down the line, you know. So are there disadvantages to sending them if you think they're academically ready? I mean, it's debatable. And yes, like we all know our children, but I think there are so many more advantages to giving them that time, that extra year to just play. They have the rest of their lives to grow up and work. And, you know, it really does give them that gift of time to just grow and learn and explore and play with their friends and learn things through play versus that academic rigor that happens really quickly in kindergarten. So hopefully that helps.
The one thing I'll just piggyback, the program that we've run at our Early Childhood Center is amazing. The teacher's amazing. It's an incredible program. There's still that option right now, but they're also looking at potentially what that looks like. So it's likely that a lot of the families would choose the option that we're putting in at the elementaries, but our ECEC program will be responsive and adapt to what the needs of our families will be. So, yes.
Is the curriculum at the ECEC, for the Young Fives, the same as the curriculum for the Wildcat launch?
It will not be exactly the same, but we will have a lot of similarities. So the curriculum at the curriculum that is in that Wildcat launch will be based upon will be kindergarten standards. If you think about, it's the totally other end of the spectrum, but if you think about a high school algebra class, right? You can do algebra in 1 year, or you can algebra in 2 years, right? And so this is doing the kindergarten standards over 2 years. So we'll come back here.
Sorry if this is a silly question. So for busing, for transportation, because we usually drop them off to school for pre-K4, is there like a trial to see how they are on the bus, to see if that's an option for him, our son, or, he's never been on the bus before, so.
Yeah. Does anyone want to?
I mean, you can register them and have them ride the bus and then just not have them ride the bus.
I would say sign up for the bus so that you have the spot, and then if it doesn't work out, then they don't ride the bus. It's okay. Yep. But you want to save that spot on the front end.
Can you tell us how Meet the Teacher will work if we don't have a teacher for the first week? Like, will they meet all the
Maybe you
teachers?
wanna take
Will we
that?
have like a signed room?
Yes, so at the beginning of the year when we have open house, you are actually going to meet all of the kindergarten teachers. And then once that second week, once your child is assigned to a specific teacher, they'll send out probably a video like, hey, remember me at open house? Here's some more information about my class. Here's supplies that you're going to want to bring in that you can voluntarily bring in. So you're going to actually meet all of the teachers all at once at open house. And then from there, they'll kind of like disseminate more information that second week.
A similar question to piggyback on that a little bit. I understand that the first 3 days the teachers will be rotating, but is the idea that we will also rotate the kids as we go into the next? So the kids will start in together, will stay together, and the only moving part is the teachers.
Sorry, I attended a lot of meetings, lots of experiences. So first of all, I want to reassure parents that, if your child has any like special needs or medical needs, we will make sure that you have a point person to contact. And that was kind of what we discussed, is that, your child would have like a homeroom teacher, that they would come in, they would stay in that classroom for the day, but just giving the teachers and the students the opportunities to know all of the teachers. So, like for example, on that first day, maybe I start with students in group A and I read a story with them and we do a little art project. And then another teacher comes in and sings some songs and does a little counting activity. So the students will stay mostly stationary in the same room. It's just that they'll get the opportunity to have some time with each of the kindergarten teachers to get to know them. And we also discussed that ideally there will be minimal shifting from those original placements. We would like to do as limited shifting as possible, but sometimes we have situations where we realize like, it's just not a good dynamic of children together. And so we just look at it and we say, you know what, let's have a couple of students move to these spots, and it'll just be a better experience for them. So no, it's not like we're going to place them in classes and then everybody moves to different classes. Minimal shifting.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for the presentation. I had two questions actually. So the vision and hearing screening, do you guys have these screenings in one of the buildings, school buildings? And the second question was in the parent portal. I found a section for mobile computing devices. The fact that you didn't cover that section here today implies that it's not applicable, I'm guessing. So just needed a confirmation for the second one. Thank you.
In terms of the vision and hearing, you have to have those to start kindergarten. So if you're in a preschool program here or at the ECEC, we sometimes have them come in and do those things. If not, you do have to have the vision and hearing. And like I said, the dental will be added. You know, we do have them in first and third grade, and continuing on, we do vision and hearing from Oakland County Health that would come to us, but you do have to have those to start. And then the dental will be added this year.
The other part of your question is that we do have one-to-one devices here for students, but at the kindergarten level and really K1, it's a little bit different than it is in the upper grades, so we're going to release that information from the buildings as it gets closer. But they will have some district technology as well. Yep. Sorry.
Hi. We don't currently live in the district, but we are planning to move into the district in the summer. So how would we be able to enroll before the May 1st and do the proof of residency later, or how would that work?
Yep, you actually answered your question perfectly. So go through the process, fill out all of the forms, right? If you say you're closing on a place or you have a lease agreement of sorts, you could get that information ahead of time. But we can do everything in there except for the proof of residency if necessary. And then central enrollment can at least make sure you're in the queue. And then once you close on your home or whatever you're doing in terms of housing, you'd be able to use that for proof of residency.
Okay, well, we'd be guaranteed a spot. We also have a first grader who's in Walled Lake. He would be able to, for sure, transfer. We wouldn't have a risk that he wouldn't get in or something.
Yeah, I think the key point there is just early communication, right?
Okay.
So keeping enrollment informed, making sure that they're getting that information in, and then if there are pieces of your application that has to wait until you're moved, that's totally fine.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
We have another couple over there. We'll take about 4 or 5 more questions, and then we'll let everybody go, and then we'll stick around.
Hi,
Yep.
thanks for the presentation. I have one question related to the enrollment. I have scanned that particular URL I have been, but I couldn't able to see the kindergarten registration. Only it was for the preschool and the Novi virtual was there. So how I can able to register for the kindergarten, and my kids will come under Wildcat launch, that particular age group. They're November born.
Anybody want to take that? We're going to actually check the link right now. So we know that the back side is open, registration is open, but do you want to take that? Yeah. Okay, so if you scroll down to the bottom, it says how to enroll, and then the sign up link is there. Okay. Yes.
And one more question, like if I have registered in the preschool, like I've called them up, and when the preschool registration is open, I did register on that time. They're in 4-5, the age group session. So do I need to do it again, or that's different?
Yes, you need to do it again. So you'll do this a second time.
Okay.
Yep.
So based on the age, they will come into that Wildcat if they're like November born.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
So according to our home address, we do belong to a specific school. My question is there in any case we can get our son into a different school, kindergarten in Novi? Can it be before the school year start if there's a place in other school, or we have to stick to the school that belongs to our address?
Yep. You have to stick with the school that is with your address. You can imagine the difficulties of trying to manage parents requesting different elementary schools. All 5 of our elementary schools are fantastic buildings. They're all award-winning schools. And so it would be completely unmanageable for us to open that up and do that. So the answer on that is no, unfortunately, but we do believe that we can create a good fit in all 5 of our elementary schools. So last question, and then we will still stick around. We'll come out to the lobby and be available for some additional. But yes.
Yeah, thanks a lot for this presentation and everything. It's really useful and informative. My question is towards the virtual program. And I saw in the slide it's mentioned like parents traveling to internationals, we can conduct the virtual program. But what the time zone it will be like? Because they might be on a different time zone and we can't have on the same time zone here, right? So how we can manage that?
You want to answer that, Ms. Polanski?
Yes. We actually have a number of students who are in a similar situation. I see Mrs. Loney nodding over there. It was actually super fun. Our students got to join a Diwali celebration from over the Zoom because it was evening for the students that were learning in India. What we tend to see is that if our students are 12 hours away, they tend to spend the morning with us live on virtual, and the remaining of the stuff they do independently with their family after they've gone to bed for a while. So we can talk about what that looks like, but that is not a new scenario for us.
So I want to thank all of you for coming out. I thank you for your support as well as for your engagement and being here tonight. All of us will stick around. We'll kind of mingle out there. Some of us will stick up here, but we'll be available for other individual questions. We cannot wait to welcome your children into our school district this fall, and we look forward to partnering with you as parents, and thank you so much for coming out tonight.